Hi, Alice here. This is about plants that can save you hundreds of dollars over the course of your gardening experience. How is that possible? These are gorgeous blooming plants and they are hardy, and the key to their success is that they reseed and propagate themselves after every blooming season. What's not to like? Nowadays, when I go to a garden center, I'm looking at $5 and $10 a pot, depending on the plant. If I want three, spending up to $30. This is not buy one, get one free. This is buy one, get endless plants. I'm walking to the pollinator garden in the front, and the first plant I want to showcase is the well-known blanket flower named Gaillardia. There are a couple of species that thrive throughout zones 3 to 11 in North America. The first species, Gaillardia puchella, and that's this one in my yard. It likes heat. I'm in zone 9A. The second species is Gaillardia aristata. That grows best in cooler zones. We're going to look at Gaillardia puchella in my yard and talk about the characteristics of this plant. Water requirements after it's established are minimal. When you have some young plants, you need to, especially if you've transplanted a young plant, keep it moist for a few days until its roots get established, and then it will grow with minimal water. The caveat to that is some of the hybrids. This plant in the nursery trade has been hybridized, and you will find some plants going under the name of blanket flower that are requiring more moisture, and their bloom shape and form has changed a little bit. Maybe the size of the plant itself. You need to watch out for sterilization, because you may think you're getting a plant that's going to reseed itself and be disappointed. You can see this is a more sprawling habit. As a plant, it usually grows between 1 and 3 feet. The plants that I have in my yard are natives. Plant characteristics for these lovely blanket flowers are sun requirements. They're a full sun plant. If you plant them in the shady areas, they get leggy and have very few blooms. So if you want max blooms in your yard, then plant them in the sunshine. It's easy to see why departments of transportation in various states, including Florida, have chosen the blanket flower as a wildflower that has been propagating along the roadsides. Plant characteristic that's important is soil it prefers. Sandy and loamy soil. It does well in those conditions. Does not do well in heavy clay soil. So if you know your soil and you've had a soil test and your soil is heavy clay, you need to mend your soil. There are many options for soil amendments. Some use peat, other people use compost, some people use chopped up pine bark or mini pine bark nuggets to amend the soil. You want to break up that heavy clay mass that kind of sticks together gummy. And the reason that it does not tolerate clay soil is because it likes it on the dry side. And the clay soil tends to retain moisture, and too much moisture will cause root rot. This plant's bloom time is late spring, as in some areas in May, all the way through October. And depending on how difficult the winter is, I find that my blanket flowers are still blooming in December and start even earlier. Some as early as the end of February or March if they're in a protected area. Characteristic bloom is the pinkish reddish color on the petals and the yellow tips. But some plants are all yellow and all red. That's just natural as the plant reproduces itself from seeds. The thing about seeds, when you collect them from the plant, you may get some variation. Here's a seed head, and when the seeds drop, Each of these can grow into a plant 1 to 3 feet tall. The bloom form is considered daisy-like, and the plant is related to sunflowers and daisies. It's that wonderful open landing pad. The big family that this plant belongs to is the Asteraceae family, and I have talked in previous videos about how large that family is and that there are representative plants in that family all over the world. The plant has a hairy covering on its stems and leaves. So when you touch them, you can feel it. The deer don't like that, and they do not graze on my plants. They might come in to eat some flowers off of something else, but my Gaillardias, my blanket flowers, keep right on blooming and they go untouched. Those of you who love cut flowers and want some cut flower gardening, here is a great addition to that type of garden, and you can have your blooms for quite a while. So enjoy, bring them inside. There's plenty of them, plenty for the pollinators, plenty for the butterflies, and plenty to cheer up your house. Every plant benefits from what I call grooming, and these blanket flowers will get leggy looking because they have a spreading habit. So I'm going to trim off the bent blooms. I will cut down only a third of the way, and that will help the plant produce new growth and it'll bloom. So by doing it now, the beginning of summer, by midsummer, I'll have blooms. And then I'll repeat the process in the midsummer, and then I'll have blooms again for August, which is the prime fly time for pollinators. And I've found that rather than trying to grow all my blanket flowers at one time, I could do just one patch at a time. I have this patch, I have a patch back by my porch, I have a patch in the pollinator garden. So if I just do a little bit at a time, it's not an overwhelming process. And it's fun to be out and listen to the bird call and watch the local squirrel that lives in my live oak tree going about its business, and also watching the pollinators coming, because that's really what it's all about, to provide the nectar that the butterflies, the bees, all the pollinators need in order to have the energy to fly. Also the pollen that they need to take back to their nests for future pollinators. Being in harmony with all the little things that matter most. And remember, every garden, no matter how small, creates opportunity locally for our butterflies, pollinators, and birds. Thanks for watching. And please subscribe if you've not subscribed. Garden Roll. See you again soon.